Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Zaggertastic videos. I'm your friend, the one, the only Z, a single gut-erd Zaggard, and I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, noon, night, evening, whatever time it is for you today. Welcome back to the Dragon's Den, and we are back with Avatar, The Last Airbender, live action by Netflix, episode 6, Masks. And this episode, well, I have things to say. I don't think I dislike this episode. Not as much as I disliked the last one where they made changes. This one, most of the changes I think are actually for the better. If there are any that aren't, I will say them or I'll think of them now, but we'll just go through the episode. So let's just start with the beginning. It actually starts again with another flashback and a monologue from Iroh. And this flashback is the first time Zuko went to one of those war councils. And we all know how this ends, as people who have seen Avatar before. So this being a flashback now means that they're merging the episode with Avatar Roku, because we know Aang is going to go see Avatar Roku, with the storm. And since it's called Masks, it's probably also going to be the episode merged with the first Blue Spirit episode, which means it'll also be merged with the Yuyan Archers. And we know June is hunting the Avatar, so that episode, again, they merged a bunch of episodes together, and I think it makes a pretty coherent plot in a 1 hour episode instead of, how many episodes is that? Let's see, The Storm, Blue Spirit, Bato of the Water Tribe, Roku. So they mixed 4 20-minute episodes together into 1 hour. So instead of it being an hour and 20 minutes, we get an hour of footage. And that cuts out some stuff, but that also cuts out a lot of fluff. Like part of the episode with June and her Shirshu is the whole Aang can't be trusted thing, and the, what are they called? The perfume place. The perfume place. It was a nice set piece, and it was how they won the fight ultimately. But besides that, it's not that necessarily for the plot. All we need is June tracking Aang and capturing him. And then the Yuyan Archers, we don't need Sokka and Katara to be sick. They're already trapped in the spirit world, so you can just replace it with that. That saves you some time. I think these are some good changes the way they're merging them together. And of course, like I said, and it starts with Zuko and him going to his first war council meeting. And I like how he's not forcing himself in, but Ozai called him in. That's a change that I like. I like both versions. Neither one I think is better, but I also like that he's nervous. He's like, I don't know how I'm doing this. And I was like, they used to be more small, more special. Ozai likes an audience, it seems. It's like, well, he likes to hear differing opinions. And you immediately know that's not true. Ozai does not like when people tell him opinions besides his own. We know that as viewers who have watched Ozai and the original cartoon. Ozai does not like that. So of course, again, we get more scenes with Ozai, and I'm actually really glad about this. I think them showing Ozai more actually kind of helps with when we get to the end. I mean, the way they did in their cartoon where we don't see Ozai, we just know of him until season 3 is also good. They're both good. I think this is really good though for a live action, because putting a face to the name and putting actions to that face really helps you understand that character in the audience's mind. And again, in the original cartoon, the only action we needed is he was the Fire Lord and he burned Zuko because Zuko did something that Ozai didn't like. That was simply it. He just didn't really like it. Like, yeah, you could say it's about respect and stuff like that, but was it necessary to burn his face and banish him? You tell me. Anyways, he, has his war council meeting and they're talking. And Zuko's just sitting there quietly, and he's kind of not really paying attention. You notice that, which makes sense. He's nervous. He's young. It would be hard for him to pay attention, or he'd be paying too much attention. It would be one or the other. So him not paying attention, I'm fine with, because they did establish he was really nervous. And he's young in this scene. I mean, 3 years younger at the very least. So he's what, like 11, maybe 13 at the oldest? A 13-year-old who pays perfect attention the entire time. You could be like, well, he's trained. He's a prince. Yeah, okay. We've all been trained to pay attention. Doesn't mean we did when we were 13, okay? Like, we all went to school, and in school they said, sit down, pay attention. And there's always that one kid in class who doesn't pay attention. So don't be all like, he was trained. It's not like they get special training where they have them sit there and they mentally control them until they learn to train. They're humans just like us, okay? So while they're having the meeting talking about what they should do with this earth-bending platoon, he goes, what do you think? And the general starts talking. He's like, not you, Zuko. What do you think we should do? What do you think of this plan? And he comes up with some solutions, and they're like, no, those are all wrong. And he goes, And honestly, the only reason Zuko yelled out was because that one general comes up to him and he's like, "You're not cut out for this. You're just a stupid fucking kid." And that's what makes him snap. And it's like, I get that. Honestly, he was being quiet throughout the meeting and now he's talking out. Very different how he, in the original, he just stood up in the middle of the war room. And he's like, "You can't do that. Those are loyal Fire Nation soldiers." And in this version, he's kind of trying to keep quiet to himself. He doesn't want to get in trouble, which both versions make sense. Neither version makes the character work. All right. Again, he's what, 13? A 13-year-old would not speak out against his father and the Lord Commander, Fire Lord, in this moment. He would not have the guts. Most 13-year-olds wouldn't. The original Zuko did, which is why we knew he had a great heart. And then he goes, "It's a stupid plan, right? You're going to sacrifice soldiers just to win." And of course, it turns out it's not that general's plan. It's actually Ozai's plan. That's a change that I think both changes work. Again, one was just, you spoke out in my war room without being allowed to. How dare you? This one is, you spoke out against my plans. Both make Ozai egotistical and a jerk. One makes it a little bit more understanding and a little bit less, makes him a little bit less evil, but not by much. It's like the difference between 100% and 99%. No one's going to look at 99% and be like, that's not good and that's not close enough. You know what I mean? And of course they have the Agni Kai, but this time Zuko actually fights back. And on the one hand, it makes it seem less, when I did my trailer review, I was worried about that because I was worried that he would just fight back and then he just loses or whatever. But he starts off being like, "I'm not going to fight." And Ozai, he's like, "Fight, damn it. How dare you not?" And then he attacks him and Zuko tries to defend himself. It makes sense that he would try to defend himself. And then even after beating him, he burns his face. That makes it almost kind of more cruel because it's like, he's already been beaten. You've already burned him here. It's like, you need to be taught even more of a lesson. And he takes his hand while he's on the ground and Zuko tries to struggle out of it. And you can hear him screaming. In the original, he just runs up and he just holds his head and does it. Both terrible. Different terribles. Neither one is better or worse. They're both just terrible in the best way for us, the audience, that is. As a viewer, great job. And I think this helps show not just Zuko's pain and Iroh's pain, but Ozai's enjoyment of pushing down the weak and controlling others and being like, "I am the greatest. You will listen to me," sort of thing, without all that energy, without it being too cartoony. Which, again, this is live action, so it can't be too cartoony. And I'm just talking about this scene forever, and I'm going to continue to the next part of the flashback where he's in his hospital bed, and Iroh's like, "Don't worry, you'll survive." And Ozai comes in and he's like, "You understand, sacrifices need to be made. That's what it means to be the Fire Lord. You must make sacrifices." And he's not talking to him, and he goes all, "Fine, you know what? Your body will be stronger, but your spirit is still weak. I must also banish you because you've been coddled." It actually explains why he banishes him even more. Like his thought is "You've been coddled here too long." I think that works in its favor again. Because one of the things about the original show is he gets burned and then he's like, "Also, you're banished." It's why would it be both? Wouldn't it just be one or the other? In this one, it actually kind of explains why it's both. Originally he was just going to burn him and then he's like, "You know what? You need even more lessons. You need lessons out in the world. So I'm banishing you. You can't be in the palace until you come back with the greatest enemy." I like that they had that scene. And then he says, "And since you care so much about the 41st," because we all knew that was a squadron of new platoons and they were going to send them to their deathbed. He says, "Since you care about them so much, they can be your crew on this long journey while you search for the Avatar." And I think that actually works. I really like that change. I really, really like it. Me and Claire, we were watching together. And when that happened, we both paused and went, "Wait, that wasn't in the show." I like that a lot. It's not just that he's with this random crew. It's the crew he saved. He got his face burned and banished to save these people. And they've been on this hellish journey with him for 3 years, but it was that or death. And while in the original show, the way the crew learns that Zuko cares about them is there's that scene where that guy almost falls and he goes up and he risks his own life to save him during the storm. And then he decides, we're not catching the Avatar. We're going to wait out the storm. I think this one also shows it really well. It's hey, yeah, you know why you're alive? Zuko. I think that not just that one guy is alive, but the whole crew. I think that's a really good change, especially since they've been showing Lieutenant G, I think is his name. They've been having him more involved, which I am so glad. Because in the original cartoon, he's on the ship a lot. And you see a lot of the characters, and one of them talks every now and then, but they don't say his name very often. The Lieutenant G, that is. And he doesn't really talk with Zuko much. He just gets yelled at and goes, and he has lines during the storm, but before and after that, he never talks to him again. In this one, he's talked to him several times, and I like that. I like that the crew, at least, even though it's just one member, more of the crew is actually talking and interacting with Zuko. And they're not just sitting there like, we are NPCs. They're like, they feel like people, and I think this is a good change. And so we get back to Aang's story, and Aang has to go into the Fire Nation to talk to Roku. And they do the Fire Nation sage thing and the secret paths and all that stuff. But then they also add in that, I always forget his name, Shayu, that one sage who was still loyal to the Avatar. His grandfather, who told him stories of the Avatar, also collected relics of past avatars and kept them in the shrine. I'm surprised he was allowed to keep them. I'm surprised the other fire sages didn't burn them or give them to Ozai or whatever. But you know what? I like that change. Another change I like is that they explain it's not just like we're loyal to the Fire Lord because we're Fire Nation. They actually believe that he is their next spiritual leader. Because when you think about it, what is the Avatar? He is the equivalent of like the Dalai Lama or a great monk or like some sort of priest for the world. He's a spiritual leader. And they don't just worship him as a god, but they follow him as a spiritual leader, someone who is supposed to impart wisdom and beliefs, and you can take them or disregard them. And they say, oh yeah, we don't believe he's the spiritual leader anymore. The Fire Lord is now our spiritual leader. And I like that. It shows why these sages, these mystical, spiritual people would be following someone who isn't the Avatar, and it's because they've actually been religiously kind of corrupted in a sense, and that happens throughout history. People follow different religions. It makes it feel more, it adds another layer to this world that the cartoon kind of breached on, but didn't exactly. They just said they were loyal to the Fire Lord, but they didn't say he was their spiritual leader. And I really like that line. I don't know why, but for some reason I think that really helps the show for me personally. And so he, Shayu is like, I'll hold them off while you talk to Roku. And I like when he meets Roku. In the original one, Roku was very nice but very intellectual and wise. In this one, they wanted him to kind of be the other side of the coin. After meeting Kyoshi was very serious, like, you must be a warrior, you must fight. And he meets him and he's like, shouldn't you bow to your elders and avert your eyes and hop on one leg? And then you realize he's joking. Like, he's like, yes, like he's a lot more lighthearted, and I like that. I like that they show some of Roku's lighthearted nature. In the original one, he was always very wise and kind to Aang, and it works. It's not terrible. I like that he's a little more lighthearted in this serious situation. And then he says, like, yeah, I have different opinions than Kyoshi, just like you will have different opinions than me. And that's how avatars should be. We all come from the same spark, but we are still our own individuals with our own beliefs, our own ideas, our own view on worlds and events and people and things like that. But then he does say, like, the avatar should be alone. Having friends can be a burden. And at first you might think, that's terrible. Why would Roku say that? And then you have to remember, what happened to Roku? What are the two of the biggest events that happened to Roku? The first one is when his best friend, Fire Lord Sozin, the guy who started the 100-Year War, tried to start it. And Roku was like, don't you fucking do that again or I'll murk you. And then when a volcano blew up in his hometown where Roku was living, what did Sozin do? Did he save Roku's life or did he leave him to die? His best friend for most of his life. Which one was it? You know exactly which one it is. So a person who went through an event like that would probably believe that. He would probably be like, yeah, you can't have friends. They will hold you back. Like when I had a friend, he started the 100-Year War and let me die. And then he hunted you down, which was me. And he's still hunting you down. His legacy is, at least. And it's just, I think that was really, really smart to have him feel that way. I'm not saying he has to feel that way and they should have changed it in the cartoon and the cartoon was wrong to not have him say that. I'm just saying makes sense in context why he would think that way. And then he tells him, like, oh yeah, I took this statue totem thing from Ko, which is the Mother of Faces, which if you've read the comics, that's his mother. Ko is the face stealer's mom, and he wants this because it reminds him of family, and everyone wants to be connected to family, even if we think we don't. So I like that he has both those aspects. He has the aspect of being the avatar. You cannot be connected to people because it always goes bad because it went bad for him, but also that being human, we all want to be connected to family, and we are all connected to family, whether we want to or not. And that doesn't necessarily mean blood family, but found family can count too. And again, I think I really like it. These are really good layers to Roku that we did not have before, and I'm glad they added them. And so he gets back, and he comes out of the chambers, and all of the sages are knocked out, and it's the Shirshu that knocked him out. And so June captures him, and one of the weird things they keep adding to June is like, she's like, oh, Iroh's so cute. And I guess it's because all the older ladies who do think he's cute throughout the series aren't in it anymore. So they want to have one of those people like that. I just find it weird that June would, because June was supposed to be like in her 20s or 30s, and Iroh's in his like 60s, right? And I guess in this one, she's, I don't know, it doesn't seem like she's attracted cute to him, but like, look at him, he's like a fluffy panda cute. I guess that's how it kind of comes off to me. It's just weird. Doesn't bug me, just a little weird. I'm like, okay, why? Maybe just to give her more character. And I like that she says like why she doesn't want to fight for either side. She's like, I don't need the world to change. It works perfect for me. I'm a bounty hunter. I can hunt for bounties, whether the Fire Lord is trying to take over or not. My line of work, my life will be the same regardless of if there's a 100-year war. And I think that's a good explanation of why she is the way that she is in the middle of this 100-year war. And so then he gets captured by Zuko. And on the way back, that's where Zhao finds him. And he's like, I'm taking him in custody because I'm an admiral now. Sucks to suck. And he takes him to the impenetrable prison. And that's where Zuko gets the idea to do put on the blue spirit mask and infiltrate the place. And of course, he infiltrates it the same way he did in the thing. And I like that they kept Zhao's speech where he's like, we are the sons and daughters of fire, the superior element. We have taken down our ultimate enemy, but tonight we celebrate. The way he said celebrate, though, celebrate. Like, it was very angry, it was very Zhao. I think that was a good line read from him. I liked it. Of course, they also show him being really pompous. He like brings in a scriptwriter and he's like, write all this down. So, I will be forever in the glorious annals of history. I love that. That was that was funny. I found that entertaining. And it made sense for his character, especially this version is a lot more pompous and like, oh, I'm special. I know I'm special. I'll be great. And he's only just now getting recognition from the person he worships most, which is the Fire Lord. He probably wants to be Fire Lord somewhere deep down in his heart. But, he'll accept being a general or a admiral. And of course, that's when Zuko comes in and he breaks him out. And they have the whole breakout scene. I think they did a good job with that, with what you can do in live action. It can't be as cartoony as it was in the cartoon where they're like blasting people off the wall and those people are almost definitely dead. In this version, the action was good. I'm just going to say that I like the action. It did a good job. And they did something I did not expect them to do. When Zuko, as the blue spirit, captures Aang, he holds a sword up to his throat and they actually have it touch his throat and they show blood start coming on. I did not expect them to show blood at all on this show. If they had before, I didn't notice it, but I noticed it there. And thank God they did that. I would have hated it if they held back and been like, well, this show was made for kids, so it has to still be for children, so we can't show blood because you're allowed to show blood to children. No, that's stupid. Kids see blood all the time. You don't need to see someone maimed, like have their hand cut off or their head cut off or their guts spilling out, but you can show some blood, and it was good. I'm glad they did that. Thank heavens they did that. I mean, we even see Zuko get burned on his face. We don't see like him getting burned, but we hear it. And so it's like, even if a kid is watching this, kids have seen blood. If you haven't seen blood by the time you're 7 years old, you have lived a very sheltered life. I'll just say that, okay? Everyone gets scrapes and bruises and cuts and scratches. Moving on. And he escapes with Aang and then gets knocked out by the Yuan archer, just like in the original. And this time, they actually have the mask break, which makes sense. That's one of the weird things I always felt about the show, is that he gets hit in the head and the mask is just fine. Like, I'm like, what is that mask made of? No dents, no scratches, no chipping, not even, or breaking or anything. This version, they have like a piece of it break off. And that's when Aang sees that it's Zuko, because he sees like a part of his face and the mask is moved. In the original one, I think the mask did move and he could see like his scar here a little bit. And he's like, oh, Zuko. And so they're leaving. And in the original one, Aang just wakes up and he's like, you think we could have been friends? And Zuko immediately attacks him and Aang runs off. And Zuko's like, I'm too tired to chase after him. Whereas in this one, they're hanging out in the shack for a bit. And I like that they actually have more time to talk. Like, he's like, what kind of brushstrokes do you use? I was never that focused as a kid. And it's like, yeah, I had to train every single day of my life. And it's like, why are you capturing me? Because I can go home if I capture you. If I bring you back to the Fire Lord, I am allowed to live in the palace again as the crown prince, and everyone expects that of me. And I love how that they're showing it's not that he wants to be the crown prince. He wants to be home, and he's expected to do this by his father, and he still has loyalty to his father. Because that would be hard to do. You can't just get rid of loyalty to family, no matter what they've done to you. It's really hard. Abuse is real, all right? This isn't just made up for TV. This happens to real people all the time. And I love how they're showing him struggling even now. In the original show, they don't really show him struggling with his identity until season 2. Season 1, he's very much the same character from beginning to end. He struggles, and we see layers of him. from his past, but he doesn't change his belief. From episode 1 to episode 24, or however many episodes it was in season 1, he, the whole time, is like, I have to capture the Avatar. I have to capture the Avatar. I have to capture the Avatar. No ifs, ands, or buts. Season 2 is when he starts changing that, and they're already planting those seeds now early in season 1 for the live action, and I am very happy with that. Giving him more character development and character moments throughout the show cannot be a bad thing. Unless they decide to suddenly say, oh yeah, he was a super fan of juggling and he learned how to walk on his hands and he actually was a clown for a year. If they add that, it would be like, why? But they're not doing that. Thank heavens. Imagine if they did. That would be hilariously weird and kind of stupid. Now I want to see a fan-made version where Zuko's a clown. Can somebody post that? Make that? I'd like to see that. Thank you very much. And then Zuko does try to attack him because he gets all stressed out thinking about his future, and Aang knocks him out by accident. And then he puts him on a ship, and that's when he finally has the whole, could we have been friends if it weren't for the Fire Nation War? And Zuko tries to attack him, and he airbends the ship away while dodging. And he goes back to save his friends. And that's when Iroh tells Lieutenant G about everything that happened to Zuko, why he got his face burned, why they're on this ship, that he saved them. And when he gets back on the ship, Lieutenant G does a moment that I thought was really good where he says, everyone, our prince has returned. Because right a few scenes before that, he said, he may be the prince, but he is not our prince. And then when they learn, oh, he actually sacrificed his home, his title, his physical being by getting burned to allow us to live. And now we're on his crew. And they maybe become too loyal too quickly, but in that moment, I was totally on board with them all bowing to him and being like, you are our prince. Fire Prince Zuko. Or whatever his title would be. Would it just be Crowned Prince of the Fire Nation? I think Fire Prince Zuko works. I'm going to say Fire Prince Zuko. And, and then Aang gets back and he brings the thing back to Ko to save his friends. And that time, Iroh has the rest of his monologue where he's talking about masks, and we all wear these masks throughout our lives to hide how we truly feel. But sometimes we don't even realize the masks we are wearing are who we are on the inside. And that's true. That does happen to us sometimes. We don't realize it. We think we're playing a part, but that is us. That is a part of us. Anyways, I actually think I liked this episode. The first part, did not like. They made too many changes that I wasn't a fan of. Well, not too many. They made changes I wasn't a fan of. That was the point. And this one, they continue with those changes, and I think they did a good job. I think this one worked a lot better in their favor. Because we don't see anything new. Like, they don't, sure, they have different order of events, or different events connect to different things. But overall, what happens is the same as the cartoon, just in a different format. Whereas in the last episode, I wasn't happy with them bringing Ko the face stealer in and have it be not just that he has this weird spirit thing where he likes taking faces, but he's going to devour their souls while he rips their faces out, which, I mean, that works. That's fine. It was more so having Ko in the previous episode. I wasn't a fan of, but now I think they did everything right. Like, Ko just shows up to give them back, so it's fine. The way Roku shows up, good. Showing more of Zuko's backstory and adding to it, good. Saying that his crew that's been with him for 3 years is the 41st Division, I like that. I like that change a lot. I don't know why that specific change, I just really, 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 really like. The way that guy did Zhao, great. The way he played, the guy who played Ozai, great job. I've been liking him in every episode. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so glad they're showing Ozai more. By the way, Ozai's ripped. Like, when he does the Agni Kai, he's like, fuck, look at my fucking pecs, man. Like, holy fuck. I want to say 2 quick kind of side things that you may or may not already know. Thing number 1 is the guy playing Admiral Zhao, when he was auditioning for Avatar, he thought it was Avatar the movie. He didn't even know about Avatar the Last Airbender, the TV show. So he said in an interview, I thought I'd be blue, which is kind of funny. And he still puts in a good performance, so I'm not even mad. Like, good for him. He'll be in one of the most famous TV shows of this year. And 2, the guy playing Ozai, for the whole show up until recently, I've been like, I recognize that voice. I recognize that voice. I recognize that voice. Why do I recognize that voice? And it's because he's voiced a few other characters, and 2 of them have been in the Avatar universe before. The first one being the general from the Earth Kingdom who tries to get Aang into the Avatar state in the first episode of season 2. He voiced him. And then he also voiced Hiroshi Sato from The Legend of Korra, Asami's dad, if you don't remember who that guy is. So he went from general to CEO to Fire Lord. What a promotion for this guy. Great clap and great job. I'm so glad for him. He deserves the promotion. My Fire Lord. I mean, he'll never beat Mark Hamill, but that's because it's Mark Hamill. But I think they're both great. They can both be great guys, okay? It's not a competition where one is better than the other. They can both be great. And I think they both are. And I saw recently there was a conversation on YouTube with Dante Bosco and the guy playing live action Zuko. Sorry, I don't remember your name. I remember Dante Bosco's because I've heard his name for over 10 years of my life. I will try to remember it before season 2, my friend. I saw that and I want to watch it when I finish the series. Haven't done that yet. But I want to see a conversation with Mark Hamill and the guy playing the current Fire Lord. I think that would be really fun to watch because they're both voice actors and they're both actors. I mean, voice actors tend to be actors, but it is a different skill. And generally, one who's good at one isn't good at both, but they're good at both. They are both good at both. And I want to see their conversation because it's like two adult veteran actors talking about playing a character much later in their careers versus two kids who their first big character was this character. Both important. All of those are important views. I just really want to see those two. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I want to see Mark Hamill talk about being Ozai. Maybe that's why. Maybe I just want to see Mark Hamill. Anyways, I want to see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. It has been a blast. I'm excited for the next episode. We only got 2 more left. The Siege of the North is left. And don't believe in yourself. Believe in me. Who believes in you? Bye-bye, friends. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this most recent episode. I know I said I do them every day and I'm a few days behind, but a lot of stuff happened, had to fix my computer. There were a bunch of other issues. It's a long story, I don't want to get into it here, but I just wanted to say thank you all for watching. Subscribe, click that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.